bring to USD? What are a couple of things that you're excited to bring to this athletic program?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'm excited to just come in and hopefully make a strong impact. There's a lot of really positive things going on here, and for me, it's just really understanding from my scope of experiences, are there things here that we can elevate? Are there things here that are coming challenges that I've maybe faced already that I can bring some perspective? And then just really listening to the staff and being someone who's open to new ideas and thoughts and thinking outside the box, and that's really something I've done my entire career. But really, I said it in there downstairs a couple times, just really focusing on that student-athlete experience and just meeting them where they're at and understanding what they need, because once they do leave here, they're your best ambassadors. So that's one thing I feel like I do bring, is a really strong sense of the student-athlete experience, and again, learning more about how we can continue to elevate that here and maintain what's really going well.
And you talk a little bit about, potential challenges that are faced here. Of course, some challenges here last year within the football program and whatnot. How do you plan on addressing and fix that moving forward?
Yeah, I've been briefed on that, and I feel really great about how the university and President Harris and Coach Moore handled that, and I think it's in a good spot, and we're really looking forward to moving forward. And I think also with the other coming challenges in the industry, I think it's making sure that you're getting ahead of it a bit. You never want to be sort of sitting on your heels. So I think, again, being innovative, being nimble, thinking outside the box and not being afraid to try new things. I'm sure we'll talk about NIL and those kind of things, but I think there's some what I call low-hanging fruit here that you can elevate some things really quickly in terms of building an infrastructure for some things. But just really understanding the landscape. I think it's really incumbent upon all institutions now about being savvy about what is happening out there, but also feeling like what's the balance between what fits at USD and understanding what's happening in the industry. So I feel like we can bring that as well.
And what are you most excited about?
I'm just really excited to meet more people and to meet our student athletes. I'm really being transparent here. It has been it's amazing to me how nice and authentic people are here. It really is, and that's students, that's staff, that's coaches. The few student athletes have had a chance to meet President Harris, the strategic leadership team, and it sometimes feels like, gosh, is this real? And I look at this campus, it's beautiful. So I'm really excited to meet more people, and I really think there's a lot of success happening, but I feel like this campus, this community is ready for the next steps, whatever that may be, and there's going to be, that's being embraced. And I really feel strongly about this, because you want to be in a place where people are embracing athletics, and athletics is embracing the university, and I think you have that symmetry here.
For President Harris, how does NIL fit with USD's overall mission? Is there room for paying players with what the university's stated goal is?
That's a great question, and I don't have a clear answer, because today we don't know where NIL will end up in the NCAA landscape. There was a ruling last Friday from Tennessee that might probably complicate things even more. We think that we have to participate at a level that's appropriate for us and in our conference. And so if that's the landscape, we want to be as competitive as possible, we will compete there.
You were involved, Kimya, with the NIL program a little bit at Oregon State. What did you learn from there, and how do you see the NIL program working here?
Yeah, it's a wild, wild west. That's what I learned. It's a different mentality. It's something that's brand new, but it is impacting the industry quite heavily. And to President Harris's comment, we have to figure out what makes sense for USD and what makes sense in this conference competitively. I do feel pretty strongly that we will develop an infrastructure for NIL here sooner than later, and we need to be competitive with that. But you still need to do it within the values of the university, and you still need to do it in a way that you're still emphasizing the student-athlete experience first. And there's ways you can do that, and I think that's one thing I learned at Oregon State. You can find ways transformationally to help your student-athletes succeed using NIL, where it's not a transactional situation. It's a really important distinction.
USD's football program is unique. It's not necessarily major conference football, but they've been playing forever, non-scholarship program.
Yeah.
Where does that fit in your vision?
No, it's great. I'm just looking forward to learning more about how it works. I've done some research, obviously, and I've, again, known USD not too from afar and seen how successful they've been over the years. And I think the Pioneer League is actually a very unique opportunity for all these young men to get these experiences. So just looking forward to talking to Coach more and more, and just really learning more about the program and how we can enhance what they're doing and continue that success.
What was your first job in college athletics?
My first job was a grad assistant at Michigan State in academic support. So
What did that entail?
that entailed working with women's basketball.
Okay.
I think at men's soccer I worked with, and I was in what we now call student athlete development. It was life skills. So community service, the student athlete advisory committee, resume workshops, all those kind of things, and then working as an academic advisor, helping those student athletes.
But you would have been, what, 23, 24?
I was 24 maybe, yeah, something like that. Probably 25. I had gone and worked in outside the industry for a couple of years in sales and came back to get my master's.
Was the goal always to be an AD?
It was actually,
Yeah.
and I mentioned my mentor, Jim Pingatero, who was just such a guiding light in my life. I think I told him when I was 25, I said, I think I want to be an AD. And he's like, are you sure about that? And I was like, I think I do. And he's like, well, that's good. Have a goal, write it down, put it where you remember, where you can find it. And, my entire career, I think that's been part of my path. And I think there's been times where you're like, do you really want to do this or do you not? And then look at Kai, and he's experienced it. There's ups and downs, but it's really exciting because you can impact so many people. 500 student athletes, all your staff. You can build great collaborations with your campus. You can build in the community. And I've always felt like my job and my purpose is to help impact others. And this, to me, gives me that opportunity to do that on an even higher level.
Did you really write it down?
I really did.
Where?
I wrote it on a note card, which I took with me in my backpack everywhere I went. I really did.
Still have a note card?
I do. Not with me currently,
Well,
but
it's,
yeah.
it's,
carrying
in
it.
It's in Corvallis?
It's in Corvallis. It's in Corvallis. Yeah. It's in a backpack that doesn't, it's the wrong school, so I didn't bring that backpack for a reason. So.
You talked about a culture of winning and equipping coaches and athletes to have a holistic and healthy experience. I'm curious if you can speak more specifically to that, of like what that entails, and I don't know, specifically you're referring to like student mental health as a part of that. How integral do you see that as the holistic, student athlete experience?
Yeah, that's critical. That's a great question. I think 5 to 7 years ago, I do think in our industry there was a realization that student athletes, and all students, right, not just all student athletes, needed to be provided more resources. So, counseling and psychological services on campus expanded. The mental health resources for student athletes expanded. That's huge. You need to feel comfortable and safe in what you're doing, whether you're at practice or in the classroom or at home. But also I think about physical and physical work and endurance there. I think about athletic training. I think about all those things, nutrition, dietitians. I mean, all these areas have actually increased over the last several years on purpose, and I think it's a good thing. The demands, I think, on our student athletes are higher than ever. They're dealing with things that, 15, 20 years ago, and I was an athlete longer than that actually, we didn't really think about or have to deal with. They just have different pressures. So I think surrounding them with those resources is really critically important to make sure that they can come to practice or go to class or be in a community and feel comfortable, safe, healthy, physically and mentally. They're going to be better athletes. They're going to be better students. They're going to be better citizens. So for me, it's looking and evaluating on what resources we do provide and how do we make sure that they're equipped with those resources to be as successful as possible.
How would you describe your student athlete experience when you played?
It was great. It was amazing. We weren't that good. I'm just going to be honest. I wish we had won more games. That being said, those guys that I played with are my best friends still. And I told them, I think on Tuesday, that I got this job. Just and we have this like 20-person text message thread, and they're all very happy for me. But those are your best friends. You spend so much time with them, and there's ups and downs, there's losses, there's wins, there's tough coaches, right? And there's times where things don't go well, or your coach is mad at you after the game, and you get $5 for meal money. You got to find a local McDonald's, but you sort of figure it out, and you learn, and you learn from adversity. And there's so many lessons, like I talked about downstairs, that I take with me to this very day. When things get tough, I literally think back to when I was in the weight room carrying somebody on my back on a fireman's carry down 4 flights of stairs and back up. I literally think about those moments, and they've really shaped who I am. So very positive, all positive experiences, and I wouldn't take it back for the world.
Was Mark Mulder there?
He was. I played 2 years with Mark.
Did
Yeah.
he teach you anything breaking stuff wise?
Well, I couldn't throw as hard as Mark, number one. Mark is a 6'6", just freak athlete who also hit the golf ball about 320 yards as well. But Mark is a great teammate. Yeah, we were the same age. We played a couple years together, and so that year he was the first starter. I was the fourth starter. So I was the guy in the stands with the gun and 35 scouts around me because he ended up being the number 2 pick in the draft. So really good experience, and he had a pretty nice career.